What's going on, gaming family? This is Sega Man back here with another video. In this video here, you know how I'm always showing Xbox stuff, you know, different things like that. But you know I am the Sega Man. So what I am going to do today, guys, is show you my whole entire loose cart collection of my Sega Genesis games. Yes, every last loose cart game I own on a Sega Genesis. Now I have a whole lot of complete Genesis games in front of me and in back of me, including 32X. But I'm going to show you every last loose cart that I have. This video might take a little bit of time because I have a lot of loose cart games that I have collected during the years of me collecting and being a gamer. But I'm going to show you every last one I have, down to regular games, to there's some sports games that I picked up for $1, 50 cents even, at flea markets and thrift stores. So let's get into it, guys, and I'm going to show you my collection here of my loose cart Genesis games. Now the first one here is Turrican. I got a loose cart of that. Picked that up a long time ago on the cheap. Another one we got here is Sonic and Knuckles. Great game. Believe those games have went up in price. This is a game my friend gave me, and I did a video on this a long time ago. It's a loose cart game because that's the only form it can come in. It's actually a homebrew game that kind of reminds you of what is it called? I can't think of the game right now, but it has Muhammad Ali in it. It's called Top 2000 Fighter, kind of like a SNK fighting game. You know what I mean, like Fatal Fury or something like that. Kind of reminds you of it, but it's actually a homebrew, and it's Muhammad Ali versus Michael Jordan, and you can fight other players in the game. This is a unique homebrew game that a friend gave me for Christmas. It is really cool, and I did a video on it a long time ago. So I got that. Another one here by Codemasters called Fantastic Dizzy. It's a weird shaped cart for the Genesis. Not a bad game. Another cart just like that by Codemasters called Comic Spacehead. Very unusual Genesis games, and it has a unique look to it. Wow, there's a lot. Another one my friend also gave me, it's called Pocket Monsters 2. It's a homebrew, and it looks like Pikachu, but it doesn't say Pikachu on it. It's a pretty cool side-scrolling adventure game for the Mega Drive. Awesome game. I own a European version Genesis, a Mega Drive. I might do a video and show you that. Now this is also, I got this off of Amazon. Now I don't know if this is a homebrew game or it is a true shmup game, but I was very interested in it. When I look at it, it doesn't. I think it is, because it doesn't have the Genesis, like when you look at a Genesis game, you know, you see on the back where it says Genesis. This one doesn't, so I think it is a homebrew. It's called Earth Defense. It's a pretty cool game. Shoot 'em up I got, and I think it's called Realistic, I think, on the back or something to that sort. But it's actually a really cool shmup game, and I had to have it, and it works very well in the Sega Genesis. Another cool game. There was never an actual, I believe, true game made for a Sega Genesis version. That is a loose cart of Double Dragon. I believe the company is Ballistic. Now I picked that up at a thrift store for $1 a long time ago, but this is the Genesis version of the first Double Dragon. So I picked that up there. Was happy to get that. Another cool game that will only play on the original Sega Genesis. This game will not play on the Genesis 3, which I own. It won't play on the 2, which I own. It won't even play in the Nomad, which I own. It will only play on the original Sega Genesis, and that is the original Virtual Racing. The original Virtual Racing game will only play on The original Sega Genesis, man. It's not bad. The best version of this game is on the 32X, which I own. Another one here is called Crew Ball. This is a pinball game, and it has the music and the feel of Motley Crue, old heavy metal band. Pretty unique game by Electronic Arts. Another one here called Zero Tolerance. Was a pretty decent game. We got here PGA Tour Golf 2. Man, it was hard to get that out. A great game, a very hard game. Fatal Rewind by Electronic Arts. Very good graphically. The shadows in this when you shoot, and the graphics in this cartridge was awesome. It's also up there in price. Another cool game, Mutant League Football by EA. And then we got James Pond, another one by Electronic Arts. That's just the beginning, guys. That's just way in the beginning. We got the Bulls versus the Blazers NBA playoffs. Most of those sports games were $1. We got Super Baseball 2020. That was $1. The Bulls versus the Lakers NBA playoffs. Virtual Pinball, another great pinball game, different game from Electronic Arts. Trying to go through this quick because I don't want the video to go too long. Sword of Sodin. A lot of people did not like this game. I liked it for the way it looked graphically. A lot of people hated the way that the characters moved in it when they walk. But it was another cool game, I believe, on the Sega Genesis. And I believe it used the power of the Genesis, of what the power of it had. It was pretty decent graphical game at the time, but very challenging. Another one we got here is Grandia Head. Another cool game I picked up. It's by Electronic Arts. Can't really say the name. James Pond 2. Those Electronic Arts games, man, they were big. You know what I mean? They had the little logo on the side. This one is Lotus Turbo Challenge, which is a great racing game by Electronic Arts. Has a little yellow tab on there, so you know it was EA game. This one here is called Buka. It was like a fighting game for the Sega Genesis by Electronic Arts. Another one here, Blockout. Another cool game. Paid $1 for that. Kind of like like a Pong sort of game. PGA Tour Golf. Unnecessary Roughness 95. That was $1. Believe me, I tried all these games, man, too. Team USA Basketball. Don't worry, we're getting to the good stuff. Just going through this stuff first. Risky Woods. Really unusual game by Electronic Arts. It has went up in price, but it's a pretty decent game. Outdoor Bash Tournament 96, a fishing game. Those fishing games aren't that bad, guys. They're really not that bad. Madden 97. Shaq Fu. Wasn't bad. A lot of people hated it. NHL 96. And NBA Showdown 1994 by Electronic Arts. They made most of the sports games because they were most popular on the Sega Genesis back then. Now let's get into some good ones here. Regular games. We have, well, now this is Cyberball. It wasn't a bad game for the Sega Genesis. I picked that up at Half Price Books. Okay, another one here, Soccer. Another sports game. Alright, a really good game that was on the Sega Genesis, in my opinion, Fatal Fury. Exo Squad. Really cool game. Shinobi 3. Very good game. This one here is Double Dragon 5, The Shadow of Fall. An unusual Double Dragon game that was on the Genesis. The original Spider-Man. Sega Genesis. Sonic Classic Collection includes 3 great Sonic games. Pick that up on the cheap. Best of the Best Championship Karate. We got Generation Lost. Pretty unusual game. Dracula. A couple more sports games. We got Tecmo Super NBA Basketball. This one here is Battletoads Double Dragon. Not a bad game. This game has went up in price, I believe. This one here is called Trampoline Terror by DreamWorks. DreamWorks made really good side-scrolling games. This is one that isn't, but it is really good. This one here is called Fist of Steel. Pretty decent, cool game in my opinion. Subterranea. This one here is Zoom. This one here is Dinosaurs for Hire. Pretty cool dinosaur that shoots a gun. It's a really pretty cool game for the Sega Genesis. Alright, lots more. Alien Storm. Great game. You can find those now on the Sega Classic Collections that you can get for your Xbox One and I believe your PlayStation. We have Indianapolis car racing game. The Great Paperboy. This is a triple score, a 3-game-in-1. Hang On, Columns, and Soccer. Pick that up for 50 cents. Multiples. It's a pretty unusual game. It's not a bad game. Muhammad Ali's Heavyweight Boxing. Bikini Run. A really cool game that you don't really hear about, but it was a pretty awesome game. You can also play this game and find this game on your Atari Lynx. Decap Attack, the original, you can find that on your Sega Genesis collection. Astrobat, made by Sunsoft. Pretty decent game. Alright, let's see. This game, I think somebody actually gave it to me, has an X on it. It is NFL Quarterback 96. I think somebody just said, "You want this?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." Cool, man. You want to give it to me? I'm not gonna say no. This one here is called Beast Wrestler. This is by Revelton. This is a very hard game. I could not beat this game, but they're very well known for their games, and their games are high up in price. World Cup Soccer. This is Super Monaco GP2. Not a bad game. Jungle Book. Burning Force. Not a bad game. It's a little messed up. It's all covered and messed up, but I got this for $1 at a flea market. True Lies, Arnold Schwarzenegger game by Acclaim. Not a bad game. Awesome Possum. It's a really cool game. I like it. Awesome Possum is a really cool game. I'm pretty sure you can find that on the cheap. A Dinosaur's Tale. Found this for $1. The Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, X-Men. Oh, believe me, guys, there's a lot more loose carts. Believe me. Another great shooter, Insector X. Great game. You can actually find this on a PlayStation and original OG collection compilation disc I do have. Another good game, shoot 'em up on there, by Sigmic. It is Hellfire. Very expensive game right now. Hellfire has went up in price. Beat that. Space Harrier 2. Another great game to add to your Genesis collection. We put these aside there. Forgotten Worlds. Very popular game. Very well known game on the Sega Genesis. This is Soldies. Now Soul Feast is on the Sega CD, and I also have that. It's a good shmup game. Very good game, very expensive game right now, very popular game. I've seen a lot of people do a video on it. This is called Truxton. This is a really good shmup game. Truxton is a really good shmup game. Now I got this for a good price at the right time on Amazon. A guy gave it to me for 10 bucks, but it's worth way more than that. It's very popular. Steel Empire, another shmup game. I love my shoot 'em ups, guys. Crossfire. Believe it or not, this is a shoot 'em up game. It has shoot 'em up elements in the game. Pretty good game. Another great game, Aerobuster. Another great shmup game for your Sega Genesis. RoboKid. A lot of people don't know about RoboKid. It was a really strange and unusual game with weird, strange music. But this is RoboKid, and I played it, you know, when I was a lot younger. I played it a lot. It's a little bit challenging, but it's a pretty decent game. Aeroflash. You can find this on some Sega Genesis collections, but this is the original cart. Aeroflash is a great game, great shoot 'em up, and it's not that hard to beat. Okay, this one is really good. This is Raiden Tread. I found this on eBay. A guy was selling it for 8 bucks. Very good game to add to your Sega Genesis collection. Now this game has went up in price. It's a very cool game by DreamWorks. Very awesome game. It's called Wings of War. This is a really awesome graphical game, and it's a very challenging game, but it is a great game to add to your Sega Genesis. DreamWorks always made their covers black and white. You know, nothing special about it. No kind of art or anything. But this is a great game if you can find it on a cheap to own in your shmups collection for your Sega Genesis. Another great game to own for that is called Rip Rush. It's another great shmup game to add to your Sega Genesis collection. I beat this game. It is an awesome game, but it is challenging. Another great game that was really hard is called Phelios. This is another great game you can add to your Sega Genesis collection by Namco that has went up in price. This one here is called California Games. It's not bad. Got the Sega Genesis 6-pack games with 6 cool Genesis games on it. This one here is Cyborg Justice. It's not a bad game. If you ever watch Classic Game Room, he's from where I'm from in Pennsylvania. He does a lot of videos. He liked this game, so you could probably find that on the cheap. Jewel Master, another pretty cool game for your Sega Genesis. We got the Primetime NFL Football with, I think it's Deion Sanders. That was $1. Rex by Acclaim. Cool game. He's on a skateboard. It's a pretty cool, unusual game. I liked it a lot. Last Battle. Last Battle was a really cool game back in the Sega Genesis days. Very challenging, but graphically, I thought it was pretty cool. The original, I hear, supposedly was supposed to have blood in it, but they took the blood out. There might be a code where you can put it back in. I'm not sure. This one here is called Spirit Fighting, I think it is. I can't see it, but it was a very, very kind of like bloody game. Pretty cool game for back in the Genesis era. Not a bad game to own. Another one here is Dynamite Duke. Picked that up at Lukey Games. Not a bad game. We got NBA All-Star Challenge. This one here is Hook. It's okay game. You know what I mean? Like I said, I found a lot of these games really cheap back in the day. Then we got Stargate. Remember the show Stargate? Pick that up. That's a loose card. Virtua Fighter 2. You can find this on your Sega Genesis collection, also for your Xbox One and your PlayStation. It's a version of Virtua Fighter, but just in a 2D fighting sense. Then we got Mike and Mick's Global Gladiators by Virgin Games. What's this called? Cutthroat Island. Picked that up for $1 from my local exchange. Cutthroat Island. I tried the game. It wasn't that bad. It's pretty cool. Columns 3. Hard game. Harder than 1. Picked that up. King of the Monsters 2, which is a great game on the Sega Genesis. I own this digitally too on my Xbox One X. Then we got Lethal Enforcer. Lethal Enforcer was actually a pretty good game on the Sega Genesis. I like Lethal Enforcer. A lot of people like this game, and you used to play this game in the arcade. Then we got Real Monsters, a Nickelodeon game. Picked that up for about $1. We got Williams Arcade Greatest Hits. So this has a lot of different games on it by Williams that they came out with. It's pretty cool, different types of games on there. It's really awesome to own these collections on cartridge. Really awesome to collect for that. This is the Menacer game. Now, I don't have the Menacer for the Sega Genesis. That's one thing I don't have. It's the gun that you can play Menacer games with, but I do actually have the game. But maybe someday I'll find the gun and add it to my collection. This one here is called DJ Boy. Pretty unusual game, but fun game for your Sega Genesis. Not bad, old school classic. Oh, we're not done yet, guys. Still got a lot more to go here. So let me move some of this over. Alright. Next one we got here is Wacky World with the Sonic Club game with Tails and them on it. Picked that up on the cheap. Also have Pudgy. Pretty cool game. I liked it. It's a pretty different game. Graphically it was pretty nice to me. Pretty unusual game. Not bad. Rocket Knight Adventure. You can also find this on the 360 and it is back compatible, but I have the cartridge version of Rocket Knight. It's a really Rocket Knight Adventure. It's a really cool graphically game. Very beautiful game to add to your Sega Genesis. Target Earth by DreamWorks. Another good shoot 'em up game. Very hard, challenging. I only paid $2.50 for this game. Target Earth. Not a bad game at all. I beat it too. Rambo 3. Another cool game to add to your Sega Genesis collection. E-SWAT. E-SWAT's another cool game. It is on a Sega Genesis collection, but it's just a cart form. It is a cool game. I beat it. It's an awesome game. E-SWAT was a very popular game back in my day. Battleship. This one here is called Wiz and Liz. Pretty unusual game. Wiz and Liz. Picked that up on the cheap. The Lawnmower Man. You guys remember the Lawnmower Man? Well, the old, the new guys, I don't know. They might not know, but the Lawnmower Man was a movie and they made a game. Lawnmower Man for the Sega Genesis gaming family. Arcade Classic. Centipede, Missile Command, Pong on this. I like having these games that have those games on there. That's pretty awesome. This one is Saturday Night Slam Masters by Capcom. This is actually a really good game. Slam Masters is a really good game with Capcom characters. I loved that game, and I like playing it. It was an awesome game. This one here is called Izzy's Quest for the Olympic Rings. You know, the Sega Genesis had a lot of diversity, different types of games, man. And they might sound corny to some of you sometime, but they were great games, you know? This is NCAA Final Tour Basketball. Okay. Championship Bowling. They had bowling games. This is Championship Pro-Am. Popular game for some people. This is Gold, U.S. Gold Leaderbound Golf. Pretty unusual company. I think they went under. This is ESPN Speed World Racing game. The Animaniacs by Konami. Another cool game. Then we have Sunsoft Beauty and the Beast. Not a bad game, to tell you the truth. Not a bad game. Alright, couple more we got to go through here. Stacks, guys. Alright, we have Gold Olympics. That was only like $1, I believe. A great game. I love this game, and I like beating it all the time by Data East. Two Crude Dudes. Another awesome game that the Sega Genesis had, man. Great game. Two Crude Dudes. Still holds up today graphically, in my opinion. In my opinion, they should make another Two Crude Dudes. Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition. This is called Death Moves. This was a pretty cool game back in the day. Unusual fighting game. Remember in those days they were making these just all type of fighting games that liked it to follow Street Fighter and games like Mortal Kombat. Great game, classic. The original Outrun for the Sega Genesis. Love Outrun. Sequest. Pretty cool game. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. This game has went up in price. It is a little beat up, but this is a rare game to have on your Genesis. Was the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Then we have Firefox, which was another great game by Tanyo I found for the Sega Genesis. This is by Sunsoft. It's called Bubble and Squeaks. Unusual game. Whoops. Got so many they fell. The one here is called Soldier of Fortune, which was a really cool game for your Sega Genesis. Kind of looks like a Castlevania cover, huh? Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. RoboCop versus the Terminator. Another good game by Virgin Games. It was for your Sega Genesis. Let's see what we got. Oh, Devilish. Devilish was another cool game that came out for the Sega Genesis. You were this ball, and you got to keep the ball going up the board to get to your destination, kind of like a Pong, sorta. This one here by Data East is called Outrunners. Another cool game to add to your Sega Genesis collection. Kawasaki Superbike. This one here is called Green Dog. Some people really liked this game back in the day. Some people hated this game back in the day. I thought it was pretty decent. Bassmaster Fishing Classic. Predator 2, another cool game to add to your Sega Genesis collection. And we got Mystic Defender, another one to add to your collector's edition. Well, this is about to run out, guys, so I'm going to have to do a part 2. So we'll be right back.